What's up, everybody? I'm Najee Adams.
And I'm Hunter Jacobs.
And you're listening to the Hoop Ball Nets podcast. So, we just want to thank you guys for listening to the last episode. Like we told you, we're on iTunes now, so make sure to go follow us. You can look us up at Hoop-Ball Nets or just look up Hoop Ball Nets. We're reading every review, and speaking of that, we actually happened to get 2 reviews since the last episode. So we said we were going to read them, so I'm going to read them. The first one is from Worthy Adventures, and it's entitled Karis LeVert. It's a 5-star. If you guys are leaving reviews, please make sure to make them 5-star, even if you say something that's not good. Worthy Adventure said, super happy to have a Nets-focused podcast to help me with fantasy basketball. Thank you, Worthy Adventures. We don't exactly talk about fantasy, but what we're saying can be translated into fantasy because we're talking about all Nets players and stuff like that. So we understand it, and we thank you. The next one is by BCroom26. She said, love to listen. Oh, it was a 5-star review. She said, love to listen to these 2 young guys, and they're getting better and better each episode. Can't wait to see the pod grow. I'm just going to be honest. I know who that one is. It's my mom. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for leaving that review. But, yeah, just like my mother and Worthy Adventures, make sure to go leave us a review, 5 stars, please, and tell us what you think of the podcast. On to the Nets. In this episode, we're going to talk about their game against the Sixers and their game against the Suns, both of them being a win.
For once, this might be our first episode where they got 2 wins in 2 games.
It is their first back-to-back wins of the season. They beat the Sixers 122-97. They basically blew the Sixers out.
Okay, so in the Sixers' defense, it was their second night of a back-to-back, but that's really no excuse to lose to the Nets, being that they're the Sixers. But the Nets had everything going their way. Everything was going their way. The turnovers, shots, everything was falling for the Nets. Everything was going well.
At one point, they had a 27-point lead, and that's in large part to turnovers. They actually forced 28 and compared to their 9. So think about that. The Nets only committed 9 turnovers and forced the Sixers to commit 28. 2 weeks ago, we would have been saying the opposite about the Nets, but they've toned the turnovers down. The Sixers are actually a horrible road team. They were 0-5 on the road heading into this one, and it's weird because they're 0-5 on the road and 6-0 at home.
Yeah, they cannot win unless they're in Philly this year.
The Nets are doing an amazing, like I said, they're doing an amazing job lately of limiting but also forcing turnovers, but we'll get to that more later in the show. They stole the ball 11 times, had 27 assists compared to the Sixers 16, and out-offensive rebounded them 15-9.
Well, also, the Nets took 40 more shots than the Sixers in this game. So the fact that they out-offensive rebounded them is the reason they got more shot attempts up and the turnovers. So the score is due to how many shots the Nets took. Their percentages weren't all that far off. It's just the fact that the Nets took so many more shots because of the turnovers and rebounds.
It was encouraging to see, like this game as a whole was encouraging to see from the Nets because the Sixers are probably the best team that they've beat so far, and they did a good job of fixing all the things that they've been bad at this season, including coming out of the half sluggish as they outscored the Sixers 41-28 in the third quarter. Onto percentages.
That is their season high for a quarter, by the way.
Yeah. They shot 47.6% from the field and 32.1% from 3. The Sixers shot 47.7% from the field and 20% from 3. The Sixers only went 4 of 20 from behind the arc. I feel like the Nets did a good job of putting pressure on the Sixers superstar pairing of Simmons and Embiid, forcing them to both commit 5 turnovers each, and they also forced Embiid into foul trouble.
So I owe an apology to Jared Allen. And you do too.
Oh, yeah.
Because we said that he was going to get destroyed for 40 points by Embiid.
I also said that Markelle Fultz was going to light them up too.
And they did a great job on both of them. So we owe an apology to Jared Allen.
Ben Simmons had a good game. He had 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists to go along with 4 steals on 8 of 11 shooting in 27 minutes. But like I said, he had 5 turnovers, which was basically the Sixers' main problem.
Embiid didn't even get up that many shots. He only took 8 shots, but he got 16, 15, and 4. So I mean, limiting the points down to 16 was great. His rebounds were normal, but the Nets did take 40 more shots, so rebounds were expected.
Yeah, it's good for Embiid because to hold him to 16 is something not a lot of teams have been able to do because he's the league's runner-up in points. He's averaging 28.4 points, and he's only behind Steph Curry. So to have the second leading scorer in points and hold him to 16 is good for the Nets. JJ Redick had a decent game.
He had a Redick game,
Yeah.
15 points, 6 of 13, almost 50%. He just couldn't hit a
yeah,
3.
he went 1 of 6 from 3, which is basically his main trait. So for the Nets to hold him to 1 of 6 is actually pretty good. On to the Nets, Joe Harris, all reliable, 11 points on 3 of 4 shooting from 3. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson finally got big minutes. He played 29 minutes compared to Jared Dudley's 14.
And that was a team high in minutes. He played the most out of everyone. He actually stayed in the game with the end of the bench players in the last 2 minutes, too. He was the guy that he left in there.
So Jared Dudley only played 14 minutes, which we have been asking Kenny Atkinson to do almost every game now. And Rondae Hollis put up 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists on 9 of 14 shooting and had the best game of any Nets player. Jared Allen had 15 points and 10 rebounds to go along with 2 blocks on 5 of 7 shooting in 26 minutes.
It was a perfectly efficient game for him. 15 and 10, 5 of 7. It's the games you want from him all year round, especially against someone like Embiid, who was a Defensive Player of the Year nominee last year. To put up 15 and 10 on him, that's perfect.
If Jared Allen could average 15 and 10 for the season, I think the Nets would be happy. I think
they would be a playoff team if he could average 15 and 10 the whole season.
Karis LeVert had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists to go along with 4 steals on 8 of 20 shooting in 28 minutes.
The efficiency's dropping for him a little bit, but he's still putting up 20 points basically every game. The stats are going to be there.
D'Angelo Russell had 21 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds on 10 of 21 shooting, 1 of 6 from the three-point line in 25 minutes.
Karis and D'Lo, 41 points, 41 shots.
That's insane.
Wow.
That is insane. They both, each of them neither one of them shot well from the field, but they got the job done. Dinwiddie had 12 points and 8 assists on 4 of 10 shooting in 22 minutes.
He is a dark horse 6th man of the year candidate right now. The way he's been playing, he's averaging 14 points. He's top 3 in bench scoring right now.
Maybe, but I feel like there's going to be a stretch in the season where he starts over D'Lo.
Why?
I just feel like Kenny Atkinson's just that type of player.
No, he didn't do that last year. He only started him because D'Lo got injured.
Yeah, but
so unless there's an injury, he's going to be the 6th man.
No, when D'Lo came back, but then when he was starting.
That's because they eased D'Lo back in.
I feel like if D'Lo goes on like a cool 6 to 7 game stretch of bad play, he'll start Dinwiddie.
Then it would have happened already.
D'Lo hasn't been that bad.
Bad enough?
Or not bad enough. In the beginning,
it should have happened the game after he threw the ball straight out of bounds to lose.
No, I'm talking about mid-season. If he has a long mid-season stretch of struggles, then Dinwiddie might start. Alan Crabb has been really bad.
Horrible. To be exact.
He scored 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting in 23 minutes.
It seems like every game I look at the box score, everyone has these okay shooting numbers. He is either 0 for 11, 1 for 8, 2 for 15. Like, it is just horrid.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to get things going lately. After the game, Embiid said that it's not Golden State. We shouldn't lose a game to Brooklyn by that many points. It was I feel like it was definitely a jab at Brooklyn, but the Sixers have been a massive letdown this season, to be honest. So for the Nets to beat them, it was a big thing.
So what I'll say about that is everyone knows that the Sixers are better than the Nets. That is common knowledge. He's right about that. But they're
6-5.
They are not playing as well as they should. They are at best right now the 5th best team in the East. At best right now, based on the way they're playing.
They were supposed to be the 2nd seed behind the Celtics easily, and right now they're tied in record with the Hornets, and they're 1 game ahead of the Nets. 1 game ahead of the Nets, and he's talking crazy.
And I get that they're tired. It was the 2nd game of a back-to-back, but to get blown out by 25, that is kind of awful. They just turned the ball over too much. They didn't look like they wanted to play. That just should not happen, regardless of whether you're tired or not.
On to Phoenix, which we called. I don't remember what we called it when we laid out their next 8 games. I don't remember. I think we called them losing to the Sixers, and beating the Suns.
Yeah.
I think we called them losing to the Rockets.
No, I said beating the Rockets.
Well, they lost to the Rockets, so. But they did win to the Suns, and we said they should win. We thought it was going to be a turnover showdown of at least 20 turnovers each team, but it wasn't. The Nets improved to 5-6 and now have won 3 of their last 4 games, also winning their first back-to-back games of the season. Woo! They beat the Suns 104-82.
Another
2 straight
blowout.
blowouts. Yeah, 2 straight blowouts. They forced 20 turnovers compared to the 10 that they committed and out-rebounded the Suns 52-49. The Nets shot 44.6% from the field and 25% from 3, while the Suns shot 34.6% from the field and 36% from 3. These last 2 games, the Nets have not been shooting well from 3, but they've still been able to beat their
They're doing
opponents.
everything else right so that they can shoot bad, which that's part of basketball. If you're going to go through a shooting slump, do everything else right. And if they could do that, that's how they're going to win.
They're forcing so many turnovers that they're negating their poor shooting, which is what they couldn't do in the preseason. Well, in the preseason and the beginning of the season when they were shooting 20% from the three-point line.
They were also turning the ball over
22
25 times.
Exactly.
So it was just bad all around, and then they would lose by 20, 30 points.
The Nets were able to get away with the poor 3-point shooting against a team like the Suns, but if they're going to have to clean it up if they want to be actual playoff contenders. They did a great job defensively on the Suns. They held Devin Booker to 6 of 21 shooting, which is surprising because, like we say, they usually have trouble guarding guards, but they locked up Devin Booker. They really got him frustrated in the first half. DeAndre Ayton had 15 and 13 on 6 of 17 shooting. Great defense on DeAndre Ayton too.
Jared Allen is doing a good job.
But I feel like some of it was DeAndre Ayton because watching the game, there was a ton of wide open mid range jumpers he just shanked.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid was also off, so I mean Jared Allen still deserves credit because they shot poorly, but both of them were having off nights on the right day for the Nets, and Jared Allen isn't even playing that many minutes, so it's also credit to Ed Davis who comes in.
Ed Davis, by far, they're one of their best signings. Joe Harris is probably their best re-signing, but Ed Davis is one of the low-key pickups of the offseason.
Yeah, because no one gives him credit for how good of a rebounder he is. He's probably top 5 rebounders in the league. If he played as many minutes as big centers like Drummond and everything, he'd average 15 rebounds. It's just that,
easily.
It's just that he's not skilled at everything else that those guys are skilled at. That's why he doesn't get that many minutes. But rebound-wise, he's as good as the best.
Rashawn Holmes was really the only one on the Suns to have a good game. He went 6 or 7 from the field and scored 13 points to go along with 10 rebounds. On to the Nets. Old, reliable Joe Harris had one of his worst games, if not his worst game of the season. He scored 11 points on 5 of 11 shooting. He was 1 of 6 from the three-point line in 28 minutes. He just didn't have it tonight. There was a point in the second quarter where me and Hunter were watching it, and he wide open 3 off a pass from D'Lo.
And it rimmed out.
It rimmed out. We were shocked. Mouthed open. We were like, what?
Old reliable does not miss open threes.
Even the commentators were like, did he just miss a wide open 3? Because people don't even expect that of Joe Harris. I expect he'll bounce back in the next game, to be honest.
But even 5 of 11 isn't bad. His efficiency, even when it's bad, is still good this year.
Honestly, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, oh my, he went back to playing 12 minutes compared to Jared Dudley's 24. At this point, I don't understand what it is, and they blew out the Suns. So it's not like if they would have lost, then you could have justified him. Like you could have said that they lost because he didn't play Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, but they blew out the Suns. So I don't know what goes through Kenny Atkinson's mind to play Rondae Hollis-Jefferson 12 minutes and Jared Dudley 24.
I believe that is coming to an end soon, but we've also been saying that for a while. So.
We've been saying that for at least the last 5 episodes. Jared Allen had 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists on 4 of 7 shooting in 24 minutes. And Allen Crabbe, once again, continued to struggle. 3 of 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3 to finish with 7 points. But he also added, I'll give him credit this game, he added 7 rebounds and 3 offensive rebounds. Watching the game, even though he was off, he was struggling. He was hustling. I remember he shanked 2 decently easy layups and he got at least 2 offensive rebounds in 1 possession alone.
And 3 of 12 is still awful. But, at least he made 3 shots.
Exactly.
Instead of 0 for 7 or 1 for 9. But regardless, you want to shoot at least 40%. This was 25. 1 for 9 is 11%. He's just not making shots that he would make. Maybe his confidence is down now that he's on the bench and he was used to starting with them. Maybe his injury's not healed. There could be a number of reasons behind it. But if he continues to play this bad, I think he's going to lose rotation minutes to Shabazz Napier and Carooks when Carooks is healthy, because he was making use of his minutes efficiently when he was playing. So if Crabbe can't get it together, I think he's going to just keep losing minutes slowly.
Spencer Dinwiddie had 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 5 of 7 shooting in 29 minutes.
That is another good game for him.
It's a
5
good
of 7
game. It's
shooting.
a good game. D'Lo had 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists on 6 of 15 shooting, but he went 1 for 6 from behind the arc in 26 minutes. So he's 2 for 12 in his last 2 games.
Let's try and find
from
a
the
game.
3-point line.
Let's try and find one single game where he scores more points than shot attempts, please. That's 2 games.
Wait until he has a breakout game.
36 points for 36 attempts. That is insane.
He's been cold from the 3-point line.
He's cold overall. He is a cold basketball player, period.
Ed Davis, I can't wait until D'Lo has a breakout performance just to shut you up.
It's not happening.
It's not. So D'Lo,
he will have a couple of.
What do you think
games.
is going to be a season high? Say it on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. 42.
I said 32.
I said 42.
So I think he'll crack 30. I don't think he's going to go crazy, but it's whatever. I think Karis LeVert's might be higher.
Karis LeVert it might be, honestly. Because Karis LeVert is more efficient inside the paint. Like, he barely misses layups.
And
he's really efficient.
So you know my opinion, he's also a better basketball player.
Oh, yeah. Moving on, Ed Davis had 9 points and 12 rebounds in 23 minutes. This is what we're talking about.
He is also reliable. He's the old reliable rebounder.
Oh, double over. He had 12 rebounds in 23 minutes. And Jared Allen had 9 and 24.
But that's not even bad. 9 and 24.
No, I'm just saying. But people think Jared Allen's this amazing rebounder. Look at Ed Davis. If he got big minutes, he could be
That's
up
why.
there.
That's why they could compete with a big lineup, because then you could just put Ed Davis at the 4 and go big.
Lastly, the man of the hour, Karis LeVert, had 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist on 10 of 16 shooting in a team-high 32 minutes. He was also 3 of 6 from the 3-point line.
This is a Brooklyn Baller of the Week type performance. He's on his way to his 3rd one.
He is on his way to his 3rd one, unless
they've got 2 more games of this week.
Yeah,
so
they have 2 more. They play.
He's got 2 chances to blow it or 2 chances to make it. But right now, out of these 2 games, he's got it. So
a crazy stat is that the Nets have forced 48 turnovers over the past 2 games and have forced 20-plus in consecutive games for the first time since the 2015-2016 season. Not only have they been forcing turnovers, they've been limiting them as well, as they're the number 2 team in taking care of the ball over their last 4 games.
Which is crazy because they were the worst team.
They averaged the most turnovers in the league 2 weeks ago. And now, over their past 4 games, they're second at taking care of it.
I don't know what... See... As much as I rag on Kenny Atkinson for this ridiculous rotation where he pulls D'Angelo Russell out of the game for no reason,
plays Jared Dudley 24 minutes.
Plays Jared Dudley all night long. He plays Jared Allen for 19 minutes when it's a close game. His rotations are absolutely horrible. However, he somehow got them to start taking care of the ball. So he did one thing right that was a huge part of the game. So if they can take care of the ball the whole season, that is a guarantee that they're a playoff team.
That's a big statement.
That's the one thing. If they keep the turnovers down like this, they can shoot 40% and 30 from 3 all day long, and they're still going to make the playoffs.
But do you think it was such a big problem for them in the beginning of the season? I don't know if they'll be able to if they'll be able to keep it up.
I want to say it will not last because D'Angelo Russell doesn't know how to hold the ball.
I don't think
and Spencer Dinwiddie also doesn't know how to hold the ball. I think Karis LeVert will get a hang of it as the season goes on.
There were times when each of them had 5 turnovers.
But I think Karis LeVert is going to get a handle on it quicker because he's not used to having the ball in his hands that much.
Well, what makes you say that? Because it's not like D'Lo's in their 9 turnovers. It's not like D'Lo's the one that's putting up 6 and then they're putting up 9.
Yes.
All of them are playing extremely well right now.
But all of them are putting up a little. But it used to be so many because everyone would put up a little, and D'Lo and Dinwiddie and LeVert would each have 4.
So why is LeVert gonna turn it around for good and D'Lo and Dinwiddie not?
He's not used to being a point guard. He's not a point guard now, but his usage is high. So he's going to figure out how to hold the ball, whether it's he has to shoot the ball, make an easy pass. D'Angelo Russell always has the ball in his hands. He just makes the wrong decisions.
Looking ahead, the Nets needed, and I emphasize needed, these wins as their next 2 matchups are versus the 9-2 Nuggets and the 10-1 Warriors.
Okay.
Both on the road.
And it's a back-to-back.
They
are going to get completely smoked in both games. If they win one of them, I will be so happy and surprised.
If they win one of them, it's a win for the Nets.
Yeah, they need to win one of these 2. They don't actually need it because they're expected to lose both of these games. But these 2 games is probably the hardest part of their schedule they will play the entire year. When do you play a 9-2 and a 10-1 in a back-to-back?
And they're both on the road. Neither one of them are at the Barclays.
They have to go from Denver to Golden State.
Yeah.
What?
In a day. And it's on the weekend. And they've gotten a break. The Nets, the last time they played was what, Tuesday? They don't play again until Friday.
Yeah.
So that's a 3-day break for them. They might be rusty. They have to play the 9-2 Nuggets who are rolling. And
the Nuggets did just lose to the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies, yeah, but the Grizzlies are a better team than the Nets.
Arguable. They're playing better right now.
Okay. Well, the Nets or the Grizzlies?
No, the Grizzlies are playing better right now.
I'm not saying the Nuggets are unbeatable. They're clearly beatable. They lost to the Grizzlies and the Lakers. 2 iffy teams right now. Even though I think the Lakers would be much better than the Grizzlies. But the Nuggets aren't their armor isn't impenetrable. I think the Nets, if they win one of these 2 games, it would be the Nuggets. I don't think there's a chance
they could beat the Warriors.
I don't know
they could
about
beat the
that
Warriors.
one. I don't think they have a chance.
They almost beat the Warriors last time they played. They came back and they were so close. They were 2 possessions away from winning that game. If KD missed that one mid-range jumper that put them up 4, the Nets would have had a chance to take the lead.
The Nets are currently the 7th seed in the East at 5-6, and it'll be interesting to see if they'll sit there after this tough upcoming 2-game stretch. But if I had to give a set prediction now, I'd say they beat the Nuggets. Honestly, I want to say they lose both, but I'm going to have some faith and say they beat the Nuggets and lose to the Warriors.
I'm going backwards. They lose to the Nuggets and beat the Warriors.
Do you think that the Nets are going to give the Warriors their second L of the season?
Yes. I don't have any explanation for it.
You just calling it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons behind me thinking they're going to beat the Nuggets is they'll be getting someone very crucial back in their lineup. DeMarre Carroll, well, hopefully they will be. Kenny Atkinson said he's hopeful that they'll get DeMarre Carroll back on Friday for the Nuggets.
One thing, before we get into DeMarre Carroll, that Warriors game can go one of 2 ways. They can either win a really close game, the Nets,
or get blown out.
Or Klay Thompson could have 73 points by the third quarter, and they could lose like the Bulls lost. That would be horrid.
The Nets have been playing good defense against guards over the past 2 games.
So. But that's Steph and Klay. That's the best backcourt. I mean,
it was Devin Booker, but he was 6 of 21.
Klay. And if they let one of them get hot, it is game over. You cannot let them get hot. That's it.
But most of the time, that isn't their call. They'll play good defense. Steph, half-court shot cash, and then
That's true.
He's on fire.
The Nuggets, you need to not let Jokic dominate. So that's on Jared Allen.
I mean, they also can't give up 48 to Jamal Murray.
Yeah. Jamal Murray is gaining enemies by the day.
The Nuggets have so many weapons. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton,
Will
Jokic.
Barton is out, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Millsap is still low-key good, and everyone forgets he's on the Nuggets. It's going to be tough. They're probably going to lose both, but if I had to pick one, I'm picking the Warriors game that they're going to win.
Back to DeMarre Carroll. They're hopefully get him back on Friday. Do you think he's going to, and when he comes back to the lineup, what role do you think he's going to play for the Nets?
Okay. So, I believe that Kenny Atkinson should take the approach that the Raptors are taking right now, where they go matchup based and they rotate Siakam, Valanciunas, and Ibaka depending on matchup. And I think he should do that with Carroll, Hollis Jefferson.
Don't you dare say Jared Dudley.
No.
Okay.
I was going to say Ed Davis. Carroll, Hollis Jefferson, and Ed Davis. The only issue with that being that they don't have another backup center.
I mean, they have Kenneth Faried, but he's more of a power forward.
I think one acquisition they need to make is another big man so that they have the flexibility to start Ed Davis if it's a huge team like, let's say, the Pistons. Although they beat them last time, if you can match up with them or the Pelicans with Julius Randle and Anthony Davis or Mirotic and Anthony Davis, and you can start these people, Ed Davis and Jared Allen, next to each other for rebounds and defense, it would give them flexibility. But I think due to how I see Atkinson treating Hollis Jefferson, the lineup that's going to happen most frequently is DeMar Carroll at the 4.
That's what I think. I feel like that's the reason that if Jared Dudley keeps playing big minutes after DeMar Carroll comes back, then I don't know what's wrong.
And at this point, I think there's no more hope in Allen Crabbe taking Joe Harris's spot, and I don't think there's any hope in Joe Harris losing the starting job at all.
The funny thing is, over in the preseason, like before the season started, you called Allen Crabbe was bad. Yeah. You knew he was bad.
I am not an Allen Crabbe fan. I wanted them to trade him.
I don't think he's bad. I just think
he is okay at defense, and on offense, he's supposed to be a sharpshooter, and he's playing really horribly. Streaky. He is not shooting well at all right now.
I think that DeMar Carroll's return, I think they're going to work him back slowly. They're going to work him into the lineup and work Jared Dudley out of the lineup. I think that they enjoy bringing Ronda Hollis Jefferson off the bench for now. They're going to give DeMar Carroll the starting power forward spot, and that's going to basically make Jared Dudley useless, which is what I've been asking for the entire season.
One sneaky acquisition, like you know how we were talking about players that we would like the Nets to get? Well, the Cavs are tanking big time.
Tristan Thompson?
And I would really like to see the Nets get him so that they can bring him
He's
and
an
Davis
amazing
off the bench.
offensive rebounder, too.
If the two of them played together off the bench, they would dominate the boards. Or even you could start Ed Davis and then bring Tristan Thompson off the bench. That would just bring so much rebounding and versatility to the team. But his contract is hard to take on.
It's not tough. A contract the Nets would want to take on because they're trying to save money for the offseason.
But that's just a player I would like to see them have for rebounding purposes and defense.
The Nets are hopeful to get Carroll back on Friday versus the Nuggets. I think they're going to win it. Hunter thinks they're going to lose it. Versus the Warriors on Saturday, I think they're going to lose. Hunter thinks they're going to win. We'll see when we record the next podcast. Next podcast should have both games and the Brooklyn Baller of the Week. If I had to predict who it would be now,
Caris LeVert.
It's hard not to say Caris. If D'Lo has a great 2 games,
still no.
No way. If D'Lo has a good 2 games,
because Caris is still gonna have a good enough game to not edge the gap, so it doesn't matter.
Now that since he said that, D'Angelo Russell is gonna be the Brooklyn Baller of the Week. I'm calling it now. He's gonna get his first, and he's gonna stop making me look like a fool. So
it's gonna be a 3-0 lead, and I'm not blowing a 3-0 lead. So.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you for listening. Like we said, we're on iTunes now. Go follow us. Look up Hoop-Ball Nets on iTunes or just look up Hoop-Ball Nets. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review of the podcast. Every review is getting read just like we did in the beginning of the episode. If you don't have an iPhone, you can follow us on Stitcher. You can look up Hoop-Ball Nets or Brooklyn Nets. We come up either way. And you can leave a review on that too. Thanks for listening, guys. If you want to follow us on Twitter, the podcast Twitter is at HoopBallNets. Our individual Twitters, I'm at Najee Adams _. If you don't know how to spell Najee, it's Najee Adams _. Hunter's at Hunter _JKR. But that'll do it for this episode, guys. We'll see you next time.